We're back. We're back with Constructive Talks. And as you know, we have Mr. Wright Sr. on the other end. And just to let everybody know, this has been a wonderful experience from us all. And I'm glad that you've come out to join us on these days and to enjoy this podcast with a father and son conversation, constructive conversation, as we know. So the last time we were talking, we were kind of talking about his life experiences growing up and some of the things that he went through. On that note, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and transition to Mr. Wright. And Mr. Wright, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Hey, how you doing, man? Good morning.
All right, good morning. And kind of to recap, like I was saying, last time we were talking about, you growing up as a young man in a household where you were on a farm sharecropping, and that experience. And you talked about your sisters, no brothers, and you also talked about, your stepfather, and as his nickname kind of grew on him based on his actions, Booger.
Mm-hmm.
Booger,
Yes,
as we
sir.
say in the South, George Booger as the total name,
Yes.
and that was because he had suffered some severe burns in his life,
Yes.
and he wasn't too appealing on the eyes. And we talked about your wonderful mother, and we also talked about your process from being pushed away from the family and having to be kind of adopted by another family. But that's future
Yes.
down the road. We'll talk about that. Do you have anything to say to the audience today, sir?
Hey, yeah, I'm saying good morning. How's everybody? I'm here for you. Let you know about how I came through, man. To live to get 70 years of age, So I'm here. Be right.
Hey, thank you. That's a perfect, opening statement. So,
Yes, sir.
Dad, let me say this one thing. I was kind of inquisitive when you talked about digging wells and how deep they were, like, because 100 feet is pretty deep. And
Yes,
you
sir.
as in today, a child, calling it what it is, and you had to do labor like a grown man pretty much. So could you take us kind of through that experience?
Uh, well, yes. Well, like I said, we stayed on a plantation, like thing, farm, a big farm, and sharecropping and stuff, and we to eat, we had to dig wells, man. A lot of people later on in life, they had a drill that they dug wells with, but we had to dig them with picks and shovels, man. Um, and then we had on top of the hole, the well, we had a big old ton on there, got a bucket on there, a big old rope, big thick rope, and two people standing on two people, one on each side, so they can wind you up and let you down. This hand is off the muscle now, kind of machine. So
Okay,
we
so
took. You can go ahead.
So
Sorry.
my question is, so is that like we see today where they'll have the bucket that goes down the well to get the water, but you guys use that same concept in order to put people down there to dig it? Is that what you're saying?
Right, right. We had to let them down. You rolled the bucket down. They let you down, and that threw you up when you hollered up, "Let me up, bring me up," something like that. Uh, it was really kind of exciting to me because I had never seen nothing like that before. Uh, People digging well with a pick and shovel. I'm like, wow. And it's water down there somewhere, so we got to dig till we find it. So I can recall on Highway 8, the first one we dug with picks and shovels. It was on Highway 8, and we dug it 100 feet, and you had to dig it so the walls wouldn't fall down on you down in there. There's a lot of people got killed behind stuff like that, but we managed not to. You take time in digging, and you get tired. Maybe you dig 2 hours, and somebody come up, bring you up, and somebody else go down and dig. But this is something we had to do, man. It was like survival. Uh, I wondered, would I be doing this the rest of my life? But I was too too much of a kid, I guess, to realize, no, they're going to make machines leave, to do this.
How
But
old were you?
about 10, I'm gonna go with 10. That's somewhere next to the woods. But it was something, man, that stayed in the backside of my mind that I wanted to get out of this one day. I wanted to grow up and be a man and not do these kind of things, with sticks and shells and stuff like that, because we were forced to do those things. Now, if I had a family, well, ain't no telling what the white man that we were staying on the place with would have had them to do to me, But we got through it and we did it, and here I am, here still today. And I remember like yesterday. Sometimes I go back by the places that we did where that. I probably could take this. Wow. Maybe 100.
On that note, Dad, not to interrupt, but on that note, so you said Highway 8, and now you're talking about the places. Where was Highway 8 located?
In Anderson County, down near Simmons High School.
You said Simmons High School?
Simmons.
Okay.
If I could do that, you probably would remember the highway, but you don't remember the well digging. They used to call it a well digger. What I'm saying? But we got through that. The man treated us pretty fair, but I didn't like the idea that my mom had to go down in there and dig and stuff.
Oh,
man,
wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was a family affair, pretty much. Everybody, all available hands.
Yes.
So
we
I
might have had.
No, go ahead, Dad. Go ahead. You can finish that.
We might have had hired another guy or something to help us, somebody older, because we were like little, but we swung pics, man, fighting trying to catch a herd of bees or something. You know what I'm saying? But
so let me ask you this,
man.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So was it like you went around in the community or wherever that some other farmer or some other folks needed a well dug? Was it kind of like that?
Yes, exactly. When they say they seen what we were doing and, hey, well, we get Booger and them kids and get them a big well or something, man. So we did, we did that, man.
So now, was that with did Booger do that, or was it the white guy that owned the land that you guys were sharecropping on? Who was it?
It was just people in general. Anybody needed a well dug. You know what I'm saying?
No, Dad. Who like who needed this? Who? How should I say, contracted the services out? So did Booger say, hey, we provide the service to you, or did the owner of the property or the sharecropping land that you were on get you guys work the labor to do it for him? Or was it inside the family where Booger said, hey, we have this talent to dig holes. If you need a hole dug for a well, we can do it. Who initiated that well digging?
The guy that we were staying with, the sharecropper guy.
Okay, so it came from him.
Yeah.
So he was getting the primary cut, and I would just assume that he nickeled and dimed you guys. He gave you a little bit.
Without a doubt. We got like $25 a well, man.
As a family, $25.
$25.
Okay. So, go ahead.
I said it took that a month.
You breaking up, Dad?
Oh yeah.
Now you're better.
It took about like a month, man.
Oh, did it?
To get it dug. Yeah. So we got up and did that every morning and all day.
Wow.
That's the way it works.
And that's from dry. That's from to the top to from dry ground to down to wherever the water table was.
Ooh, yeah, blistering.
You breaking up, Dad?
Yeah. I said you have blisters in your hand behind that kind of stuff, man.
Oh yeah, especially at 10.
Raw hands, you did. So. But we got through it, man. We put some on them and we change things again tomorrow.
Okay.
Or get a whoop. The white man put you down across that barrel, man. That ain't no joke.
What you mean?
Put you back across a barrel if you didn't come to work and have your people, your parents, to beat your behind right across a barrel, a 55-gallon barrel. You a little guy, you know that looking like a house to you. A tent. They put you
Wow.
down across that thing, buddy. And have your
Okay.
people.
Okay. So if you didn't come to work, the 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 owner, the sharecropper, the white man, he would have your family or your mom or dad put you across a barrel, and I guess
And
that's
he said,
spreading you out good enough so you can get your butt whooped.
yeah, that put you down. Now you got one holding your heels and the other one holding your hand.
What?
You know, and you down on that barrel getting blistered, buddy. Hmm.
So these are I guess these are the get more work out of you techniques.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
instead of just connecting you to the whipping post, you get connected to the barrel. Same thing.
Yeah.
Pretty
Hmm.
much, but it's just not slavery. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So on that note, now since this was a family affair, talk to me about. I know you said you had quite a few sisters, 7, right?
yeah. Yes. Hmm.
Give me a little overview of each one of them and how they were a. We all know siblings always, tussle, as we say. They get into it. It's never a peaceful household with siblings, no matter what generation you're in.
That's right.
Um, so and we definitely have to focus on that. But talk to me about how amazing they were, each one of them, and what talent they had at that time, and how it influenced you. You're a guy with 7 girls. Wow,
Yeah.
and how they
Yeah.
influenced you in a positive manner to be, the young man that you were and the man that you are today.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna start with my twin. I have a twin, Ree, and Ree was a good little girl, but see, I thought she was a boy up until we got 12 years of age or better, a little better. You're dumb at that age back in them days.
Hmm.
So we started from the beginning in life as 2 twins wearing the same kind of little clothes and stuff. And Ree, she grew up and she just hung with me. And it's kind of strange you asked me that because last week I had a little run in, and you know what she told me? She called me on the phone, man, and told me, say, boy, I'm calling you, and don't you be nowhere getting in no devil, man. Bye. Hung up the phone.
Just off the cuff.
All the told, man. She it came to me. She just called me and said that on my voicemail. And I was headed that way, and some said, read your voicemail, man. I did. She did good because I turned around. And just like that from the first beginning in life, getting to know each other and stuff, that was my twin, and she was my brother, so to speak.
Initially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mother Ann, she's I think the third girl.
Hmm.
We were the same way. We had a good bond, man, a good relationship between me and my sister. It was just sometimes, my older sister, as Mabel, she would want me to do something around, don't want me to go to dig wells or whatever, and she would beat me up, you know what I'm saying? When my
So how
mom
much
and
older
them,
was she?
oh man, she was good 7 or 8 years older than we
Okay.
were.
Okay. And then she would beat you up.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, and at the house, she would want me to do something. We'd be going to work, and she'd say, my mama and them, they be going somewhere. She'd say, I'm going to get you when mama leaves. Mama and them
So she
leave.
threatening you. I think we all
Yeah,
been
man.
through that a little bit,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna get you. You just
It
wait.
was something else, man. I'm telling you. And Eddie, she's the baby girl.
Okay.
She always got pampered. She didn't have to do nothing. She'd go out and lay around and stuff. But she never had to go dig wells. She went and stayed there with us. Right? She know what it's about, So
So,
she had a mean husband. So she got she come up in life, man. It wasn't right for her. She gal used to beat up and stuff, and
okay.
I would have to go straighten it out. Hey man, you better put your hand on my sister. You don't supposed to do that. You know.
So okay, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
definitely another episode. So
Yeah.
now, Okay, so she was the baby, so she was
Yeah,
spoiled. So, audience,
yeah,
listen. The baby of the
yeah,
family for generations has always been the one to be spoiled.
yes, always.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Let me give you another one on my oldest sister, Ruth. You know, she had passed now, and
Mm-hmm.
she left home at an early age herself because she couldn't stay there. Uh, George George Booker was the kind of fella that you see on TV sometimes, that where the movie be where the stepfather are ragging the kids and want to be with the kids, you know, the young ladies
Mm-hmm.
of the house, you dig, and it was a mess, and I didn't like it, but I was a little bit too small then to say anything, but she never, I think she might have went with her once or twice, you know, but all my sisters were pretty cool. It was just my sister Mabel, the one they did the oldest. Shirley, she in Chicago. She left home at an early age. Had to,
Okay.
you know. And they just always loved their brothers. I mean, right now, if you say something to me and they're around, boy, I don't care if you're Superman. You know, damn, you got to do something. They gonna be
You
on
had to
you too.
defend yourself.
Yeah. They yeah, go ahead. I don't need you to help fight my battle.
Mm-hmm.
You know. No. I learned to love them and miss them, and getting pushed away from home like that. I just wanted to be with them because they was all I knew. You know, my sisters. And to this day, son, uh, I love my sisters to death. We stay right around in the same community. You know, and they always come by to see about them. They don't see me in 2 or 3 days. They'll come by. You know. Right
Okay.
now, the cooler one is the younger one. I got what? Let me tell you. I got three sisters down here with me now. And, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think you
And
said Ruth. You said
I
Mabel. You said Ree, Hooley,
and
um,
Eddie
Nettis,
and
uh,
Shirley.
and Shirley. Am I
Mm-hmm.
missing one? Because you said 7.
No.
So it's
7 women.
6.
That's it. Somebody, wait a minute. Where is it? Oh, yeah. She passed at birth, man.
Okay. What was
You
your
know.
name?
Jeanette, I believe. Yeah, Jeanette.
Jeanette. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see her coming through the house at night with a little nightgown on, dragging it. She kept a blanket with her. And you see her going through the room and get in the bed with mom, and then, you know what I'm saying? We still laying down there. We sat to sleep on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when we got a bed, it was made, the mattress was straw. We would go out in the field and get straw and shift it around, make sure there was no bugs in it. You know, if they did, we got the most we could out anyway.
Okay.
So we slept on straw mattresses, and we just lived the life as little kids coming up rough, man. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I think about it, you know, it's hard because, you know, I see them, I look at them, if they ain't got the right person being with them, it hurt me. It hurt me to my heart. There's sometimes I have to just, you know, get to myself, man. You know.
Okay. So now you said something about you seeing your sister as she had passed. Now this is just for the audience, and this would be definitely another episode where we can go into more detail. So,
Hmm.
my dad told me that my grandmom told me this as well. That she was born
Hmm.
with a veil over her face as a child,
Right.
and from what's been told from that or known from that is that means you can see spirits.
Right.
Now, if you pull the veil down, you see them up in the front of you. If you pull them up, pull the veil up from the chin up behind it, over the head, you can see them behind
Hmm.
you. Is that correct, Dad?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct.
So
Yes.
I remember this, everybody. So growing up all my life, and that's an episode that we will have. And trust me, you do not want to miss that one at all.
Right.
You want to be sitting in your living room, relaxed, and listening because it was definitely enlightening for me and opened my eyes. And my grandmother,
Hmm.
she talked to me a lot about those things
Hmm.
and proved those things to me. So it was undeniable. Um, so how did uh, how did your sisters overall, Dad? How did they make you the man that you are, the teenager that you were? Would you say, and giving them, their credit due right now?
You know, it was, man. It's overwhelming for me to say. It was just it's mad love, I would say. And my sisters treated me as they grew on up, man. It was something else. They love me, man, and I know they do. My older sister passed away. I was away for a while. I went away, and she was waiting for me to come. She stayed in Detroit, but she came home and lived here in Greenville, and I couldn't get to see her right then because I was away, and she always told me that she was waiting on me to come. She came here and got a little husband, and she lived with him until she passed. I didn't get to see her no more, man. That's a hard one there, but I can tell you something with boy, that now on me. That give me a second or two, okay?
Okay, Dad.
Maybe yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say everybody that this shows you that these conversations are raw. They're not scripted. It's just a conversation with my dad, and I'll have my sons on, and anybody else, in the family. And it's the father and son constructive conversations we have, and I would tell you when you can look back and reflect, and most people can pull negative things out of their past, but we try to pull the positive things because, as we know, dealing with life each and every day, if we focus on negative, it'll be non-stop. It's endless. But we tend to focus on the positive outcomes and the positive aspects of throughout our lives in order to keep us uplifted and built, that we can push forward and look at everything in a positive manner. That's what we do, and that's what we will always do. And I want to say, my dad, as he shares his life experiences with the world, it's all just flat out the way it was. So I hope everybody's enjoying this. And on that note, Dad, tell me now. And I know your sisters. They how did they toughen you up to be a man?
Well, that happened when we were real small, man. I think we were something like 4, and the way they would always, if somebody messed with them, they would come. We did that in school, taking care of each other in school when we got to go, So I always walked up with them, and they said, if you mess with me, I'm gonna tell my brother. I'm gonna put my brother on you. We're like, hey man, don't you be messing with her, The dude at the house, we used to be there at home at night. This way they made me. I got tough myself for them, and so to speak. This guy was going with my sister next to my older sister, and he was a very mean guy. He drank all the time and come home, and he had a big old voice, man, bigger than mine. He was down with. He
like
would
one of
fight
them voices
her, man.
that make you pee when somebody's
Yeah.
James Earl
Made
Jones.
them do it though. I wasn't big enough to help them when he was fighting them. Okay, but I would get my sister. I would wake them up. 3 of us, little bitty little rats, Eddie, Ree, and me, and my thing. Yeah, I would take them at the Sharecropper's barn where we stayed on the property. He had a barn right in the front of his house, like maybe 100 feet from his house, and we kept hay and stuff, his tractor in that barn. So every time the guy would come to visit my sister, like on the weekend, my mom and them would be gone. Back in them days, they go to the juke joint places and stuff.
Okay, and juke joint is what, like the local club today, right? Or the kind of the
yes,
hole
sir.
in the wall.
Yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. He would come in. He would be intoxicated. I mean, tore up, and he would start to accusing her of being somewhere, and he would start fighting. So while he in the other room and that, getting on to my sister, and I couldn't do nothing to him. You know, I get my other sister, and we would walk out the street a little piece, maybe another 100 feet, and I would take him and put him in that bun on that hay until he left. We would stay there till the next morning. I mean, be dark. We would stay in that bun all night long because I didn't want him to bother them. You know, so that's my protection for them. And I got to be a man and realize that a woman is special. You know what I'm saying? Very special, and you don't want nobody messing around with them too tough in the wrong way, man. So I just grew up like that with them. When we grew up loving each other and seeing each other and stuff, you know. And like right now, when I get to their house, I go and straight to the refrigerator. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So they know I'm tough, man. I ain't no tough man, but I love life, man. And you look back on it. And there's some things you can't hold back your tears, you know. I could talk to you all night, all day long, man, and tell you some stuff you wouldn't believe, you know.
Well, if you don't mind me interrupting one sec now, I
Right.
want to let everybody know that my dad told his first fib, and he said he's not tough. I tell you what, that's bull crap. He is tough as nails. I'm talking about he's tough enough where he has never had to whoop me in my life. So now
Never.
just think about that. So me
Yeah.
being smart enough to say, hey, I don't want this tough guy whooping my butt. I better, act right. And I did all my life.
You sure have.
And
You sure have.
and that's definitely a story right there. When I know I'd never forget the time that I had the dang on opportunity. I ain't gonna say opportunity, but when I knew you was gonna whip my butt one time, and you didn't have to whip my butt, and that was enough. It was just the threat of whipping my butt straightened me up.
Yeah.
And you knew that. I can still, we'll go through that one day as growing up, when I'm growing up as a teenager.
Yeah.
But I want to say, I've always respected that you definitely never led with the rod. You never led with, just as you were brought up and conditioned to that. If you want something positive out of someone, you had to beat them, you had to whoop them, you had to spank them. You always use your mouth, as in your words, to try to mentor and guide. And that was always first. And you've always been the same way. You've never been, definitely with me, the person that's, I'm getting a butt whooping, every chance, because I know that opportunity right there. I was just disobedient. I did opposite of what you told us to do. And, I deserved what I was supposed to get without a doubt, but you didn't. You talked. And I use that same principle. Not saying, I hadn't issued some out, but I definitely am a talker. And my kids can say, yep, Dad's gotten me plenty times, but boy, he's talked way more than he's gotten me.
Yeah.
And that's something that you kind of helped me work through as I grew up and learned that, the whipping is not always the first option. It might be the 100th. Now after a while, that build up get in there. It's like, hey, enough is enough. And I would say thank you. I think we discussed quite a bit, and I know one thing I got out of that when you were talking about going to school. And you said you got out in the third grade. You stopped going in the third grade. So we're gonna want to know your experiences up to the third grade when we come back on our next episode, for one. And two, we want to get a little more, detail about some of the things you talked about today. And definitely one of them was, you're transitioning to helping your sisters and understanding that, all women are valuable and deserve to be treated like queens and protected, no matter what situation they're in. And I totally agree with you on that. And I'm quite sure the audience will as well. And I want to let you know that I think you're an amazing father, and I look forward to our next conversation, and we'll talk about some really good stuff. So I challenge everyone, as we transition, to the next episode. I want to give my dad. Dad, do you have any closing remarks you want to make to the audience?
Yes. I mean, I just want the audience to think about what I'm saying, and I wouldn't ever leave anything unpositive out of what we are talking about. And I want to say that I wanted to get this into the audience. You said the next topic we will be talking about the third grade and stuff. Mm-hmm. And y'all forgive me for being choked up today, man. Some days, you know what I'm saying, it's good, and when you say something, it just bring back everything. Kind of get emotion in your eyes, get full of tears and stuff. But the guy that really helped me was your grandfather on your mother's side, son. You know, he couldn't read or write either. And he used to ask me things about signs and stuff and which way to go here and what did that sign say there. And I wasn't able to tell him. So I got my book back to school whenever I could, and I went on and went to school some as an adult, you know, got me through. And today I've had probably about a 10th grade education, not that much, but the life I have lived have experienced me with everything. You said, and I know something about it, buddy. You know, so you said you made a comment yesterday and said that about education, and I said that without an education, you might as well be dead. Boy, if you got somebody to love you, and he'll hook you up live, and you don't need no education to be real, man. You know, God put it all right there to be right there, and if you follow your first mind 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be right. You know. So with that, peace to the audience. Can't wait to talk to you again. We got a long way to go, son.
Yeah,
so,
we do. Right? So you know what? I tell you what, audience, what we're gonna do, we're gonna transition from, and we'll dab into the third grade a little bit, but we're gonna transition into where Dad left his home and went to his adoptive home. How about that? That's kind of fluid. We'll get into that, and we'll go back and forth a little bit with the stories as you tell us about your life, and I'll ask questions, you know, back to your childhood and maybe to the future a little bit, but we'll stay with that. And I want to say, everyone, now think about this. So think about something he just said. He said, you know, love is more important than education.
Oh yeah.
So go ahead, Dad.
Oh yeah, look, it is. Don't nothing beat real love, man. Nothing beat real love. God has got me so now I can grin back to my ears and ride down the highway. I can read signs and things. You know what I'm saying? So yes. I learned the most of mine as I grew up. As I got grown, you know, I learned mine then. I knew I had to do something, man. And with your grandfather, he really made me pretty good, I think. You know. But like you said about, I never did get you. He never did give me, but he would look at me, and that's all he needed to do.
Well, you carry that on.
Well. I get right.
Yeah, that's all you needed to do to me too. Just look at me. And I knew I had tighten up, stand up straight.
Yes, sir.
Move out, draw fire, right? So on that note, see, my dad, I know we're supposed to transition, but on that note, and I remember my grandfather well before he passed. I think I was about 5 years old when he passed, but I tell you right now, and he always talked, man. He always talked. It was one thing he told me about a cherry tree. I love cherries. So this is a little quick story about my life as in part of yours. Is he had these cherry trees out there behind the house. You remember those, right, Dad? In front of the trailer, right?
Oh, yeah.
The cherry trees and all that stuff, right? So and they had big cherries on it, huge. I'm talking excellent cherry tree. And I love cherries.
Yeah, I do too.
And I said one day, I said, "Hey, Granddad, could I get up in the tree and pick cherries?" He said, "Boy," he said, "Yeah, you can get up there, but if you break a tree, I'm gonna whoop your butt." I was like, I won't. And I was I was 3 or 4 maybe then, maybe 3 or 4, and I'm climbing cherry trees. and I broke a branch. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And when I broke the branch, my uncle saw me break it. And he said, I'm going to tell it on you. I'm like, no. I remember this vividly. I'm like, no. And he told it. He ran down there and told. You know how people, when they get in trouble, they want to put somebody else in front of them.
Yeah.
So they can get in more trouble while the other person get in trouble. And they can be hidden from them, right? So he said, okay. So I walked down there slow. You know how you do that slow walk, that slow perp walk. It's real slow.
I call it the forever walk.
Yeah, right. Do the forever walk. And so I get down there, and he said, boy, you go up there and get that branch and bring it back here. So I did a slow walk again. You know, I did him to cool down because, you know, Granddad didn't play at all.
That's right.
Yeah, and I knew this as a young whippersnapper. So so I get down there, you know, and he's around with his friends sitting on the he always turned his chairs backwards. When he sat in his chairs, he always turned them backwards, and he would like drink some ice water out of a mason jar. You know, so they were down there talking and stuff like that. So I gave him the branch, man, and I knew it. And, you know, he popped me about 2 or 3 times with it. You know, but my feelings were hurt more because I had told him I wouldn't, and I did. Yeah. So the whooping didn't even hurt. I just, you know, I did it, and that would be forever in my mind. So, Dad, I want to say that what we're going to do now is, everyone is, just to recap, we're going to talk about life growing up in the 50s in the 3rd grade as a young black man, as a young black child, and his experience of growing up like that. He already told you in episode 1 that he used to hide in the cotton fields when the bus came by to pick the students up, the kids up, and he didn't want to be embarrassed. Now he's going to talk to us about when he did go to school, his experience, and then we'll transition to his later years, his earlier teen years, rather, and get to the point to where he transitioned to his other adoptive home. So on that note, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and transition out and end this podcast. So in ending this podcast, I want to let everybody know, thank you for being part of this episode today. Thank you for listening. And we're going to make sure that we keep you involved in everything that we do.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to say thank you for reaching out.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for listening. And also thank Anchor for hosting and sponsoring this podcast. And remember, download Anchor at anchor.fm. And have a wonderful day. And signing off. Talk to you tomorrow.